the first thought I had coming out of this movie was like, this is a sandbox that Ryan Coogler is building an enormous sandcastle in.
We've been gone a long time. We back now. You twins? Nah, we cousins.
Sinners is the movie that everyone is talking about. It is already one of the top grossing films of the year. James, why has this been such a success?
Because it's fresh. I remember when I saw the trailer for this, I think it might have been sometime last fall, and I had no idea what it was about. I barely registered that it was Michael B. Jordan until maybe the very end of the trailer. Definitely did not clock that it was Ryan Coogler.
Let alone two Michael B.
Let alone two MBJs. And I remember in that moment, I was like, I don't know what I just saw, but I can promise you that I am seeing it within 3 days of it opening.
Nice. Yeah, and I think everybody kind of had, I mean, for me, I didn't even know, like 2 weeks prior to the film's releases when I heard about it. I had no idea what it was about. I did not know that it was supposed to be a horror movie until like a day before I was going to see it, which raises questions, right? Because I think it's keeping some people from seeing it because of the horror impact, but it's so much more than that.
It's so much more than a horror movie because it's also it's like this really rich world that's being that Ryan Coogler's been able to build in rural Mississippi in the 1930s. It's taking you to a place that is not divorced, right, from trauma or racism or poverty. But that's not the point of us as viewers visiting that town. The point, ostensibly, until things go hard left, is to quite literally have a good time, despite, possibly in spite, of all of that.
Yeah.
Quite literally building a center for, debaucherous joy.
Absolutely. Debaucherous black joy, to be even more specific, considering this is the Jim Crow South that it's set in. And, I was sharing with you this kind of take that I had, that I say that I really borrowed from Richard Newby in the Hollywood Reporter, who really summed it up so nicely, thinking about questions of ownership, both within the film, because thinking about the ownership of music, but even the making of this film. And so a big part of this has been Ryan Coogler's deal, in which he will own the rights to this film 25 years from now. And I think Quentin Tarantino is the only other director who's done something like this.
I don't know if only other is the case, but maybe one of the more recent ones.
Okay,
that was for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
Back in 2017 maybe?
I see, yes. And people are pushing back. A lot of the Hollywood execs are like, this is unprecedented and it's going to kill the industry. When in reality, it's kind of like, to me, that's akin to the scene that we see in the movie. Sorry about the spoilers. Don't watch this if you haven't seen it yet, right? But that scene, when we realize that even though the Smokestack twins have bought this place that they want to make the center of black joy, there's still the evil, the ops are lurking, and it's not just the vampire.
It's not the the final boss is the Klan. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, not to get too off base, but you think about how, with Game of Thrones, right? It's like, oh, the supernatural evil from beyond the wall is coming to, kill us all. And you're thinking, shouldn't y'all unite to get rid of that thing? And obviously they don't in that franchise. But, in this movie, it's you have the vampire threat. And then it's and these white people still want to come and steal, what they dishonestly said that you could have. It's crazy. The thing about the deal to me that really sticks out is the fact that these studios are, I think Vulture ran a story about how studio execs are scared that this is going to reshape, the financial landscape of the film industry. And I'm thinking about it as a space for opportunity, right? For a filmmaker to see a movie like Sinners and say, you know what, I want to try to make something weird and sweaty and horny.
It's to your point about the kind of taking a risk here, James. What do you think the message Coogler is sending to black creatives is?
There's two different messages, and I can't put things in his mouth. I'm not going to do that. There's one, and they're kind of complementary. There's one case of once you put in your work and you prove your worth, make your next project your playground. The other message could just be say, screw it, and make the entire thing your playground, from the jump. Like, the first thought I had coming out of this movie was like, this is a sandbox that Ryan Coogler is building an enormous sandcastle in with as many resources and, whims that he may choose to draw from, right? Ryan Coogler is an incredible filmmaker, but he's been working in kind of like an IP box for pretty much all of his career, right? I mean, Fruitvale Station wasn't a made-up story. It was a very real, tragic, traumatic story, right? He's working at the confines of a real historical kind of, moment. Creed is in the Rocky universe. Black Panther is in the Marvel universe, And so this is a chance to say, here are all the skills that I have. I bring people to the theater. My movies work. They are artistically fulfilling. I'm going to make something happen. And then, like, just quickly, like, remember, too, when he made Creed, he was $200,000 in debt. And you can tell there's like this hunger where it's like, and he said this in an interview, he was like, I miss so much in life working for these other franchises. The next thing I do is going to be mine. You want this, it's going to be mine.